The Torrey pine is native to only 2 locations on Earth. One is Santa Rosa of the Channel Islands, off the coast of Santa Barbara. The other is here at Torrey Pines in San Diego. Up until 1850, the trees were referred to as Soledad pines. The area of Torrey Pines was called Punto de los Árboles, or Point of Trees, and served as a literal landmark for ships sailing too close to the coast in heavy fog. When California became a state in 1850, botanist Dr. Charles Perry renamed the unique pine tree after his mentor, Dr. John Torrey. They are among the rarest of pine trees, but still survive today in the salty sea air and strong wind gusts from the sea. Torrey Pines Golf Course opened in 1957 and sits atop the bluffs 390 feet above the Pacific Ocean. The 192-acre site is bordered with the Torrey Pines State Reserve in the north and the Salk Institute to the south. It regularly hosts the Farmers Insurance Open and the U.S. Open Championships. Torrey Pines Golf Course is a 36-hole facility comprised of 2 18-hole courses. The South Course is the more challenging of the two due to its terrain and length. The North Course has more scenic views of the ocean and is slightly less difficult. Next to the 9th green of the North Course is a driving range for perfecting swings. There is also a putting green to work on aim, and a sand trap to practice the techniques to escape hazards. The golf course has plenty of Torrey pine trees, along with eucalyptus, throughout the landscape. Torrey Pines State Beach is to the north of the golf course. From a distance, you can see how the beach is at sea level, while the golf course lies on top of the bluffs to the south. Walking out the path next to Carmel Valley Road, we can see North Torrey Pines Bridge. It was built in 1933 and underwent major renovation in 2012. The concrete T-beam bridge supports traffic up and down the coast and allows for the coaster trains to pass underneath. It's also called the Sorrento Overhead, measuring 553 feet in length with 13 T-beams supporting its Gothic-style structure. A closer look under the bridge shows some street art people have painted. The train tracks run parallel to the coast, yielding pleasant sights for train passengers to see the beach, waves, as well as the sunsets over the Pacific Ocean. The entrance to the north beach of Torrey Pines lies just south of the bridge, adjacent to a paid parking lot. To access the beach, guests walk under North Torrey Pines Road. Looking from east to west, you can see how the water flows into and out of Los Peñasquitos Lagoon under the bridge and to the ocean. If there's a high tide or storm, the safest way to cross the inlet is on top of the bridge. At low tide, however, people can walk across the estuary from one side to the other, or they may stop in the middle to look and see what they can find. Next to the bridge is a pedestal with the year 1932 and a plaque heavily covered with dirt. The plaque commemorates the completion of this section of the North Torrey Pines Road Bridge in 2005, replacing the old one from 1932. The pedestal is actually a chunk from the original bridge, kept here as a memento. This new bridge is superior in strength, earthquake preparedness, and tidal flushing. It's a good vantage point, too. Lifeguards can be spotted driving their jeeps across the sand, patrolling up and down the beach between the lifeguard towers. In general, they are present from 9 a.m. to dusk. Although it is important to note, there is no permanent lifeguard supervision anywhere below the high cliff bluffs south of the South Beach. People enjoy using the area for exercise, whether it's a brisk walk, riding bicycles up the hill toward the top of North Torrey Pines Bridge, or down from it. Here's some vigorous exercise driving a Lamborghini past Los Peñasquitos Lagoon. The Torrey Pines State Reserve South Beach is where the road begins its climb up the bluffs. Many cyclists can concentrate on their hill climbing skills here, as the southbound lanes have 2 bike lanes with a wider separation from traffic. For those on foot, the trail runs along the beach and leads to hiking trails that start off with a steep climb. Bicycles and vehicles are welcome as long as they stick to the paved areas. From here you can see the main road on the left, with the steeper paved road ascending from the right, just above the parking lot. The seagulls have the best view of the South Beach, as they can fly or glide anywhere they wish. We can walk up the stairs to join the footpath adjacent to the paved road, heading up Torrey Pines State Reserve. The beginning of the path is exposed to the sun, but gains some coverage from the Torrey pine trees at the higher elevations. The North Grove Guy Fleming Trail is one of the hiking paths that loops off from the main road. There's a sign that shows the different plants you can find, like California poppies and black sage. The Perry Grove Trail is another path that branches off of the main road. The Whitaker Garden was established by the 18-year president of the Torrey Pines Association, Dr. Thomas W. Whitaker, as a memorial to his wife, Mary. Among others, it showcases the 2 main plant communities of the reserve, coastal sage scrub and southern maritime chaparral. Keep an eye out for wildlife as you walk. Further on the Perry Grove Trail is an overlook named after philanthropist Ellen Browning Scripps. You can learn more about her through another San Diego review about La Jolla Coast in the distance. Please search for and watch it after this one. Off the main road is a dirt road that leads to an obscure building well hidden behind trees. It is known today as the Torrey Pines Reserve Ranger Residence, but also has its own history. Guy Fleming was an American naturalist who worked to protect nature preserves in the Anza Borrego Desert, Cuyamaca Rancho, Palomar Mountain, and Torrey Pines areas. In 1927, Guy Fleming married artist Margaret Doubleday Eddy, and they built this house here near the top of the Torrey Pines State Reserve. Fleming was hired by the city of San Diego and Ellen Browning Scripps to be the custodian of the greater Torrey Pines area. With inland views from the 5 freeway in the east to North Beach of Torrey Pines at the coast, the Flemings had one of the best views in all of San Diego. Very close to the Fleming house is a trail and a set of stairs which lead up to the High Point overlook. At the summit of the stairs, there are two withered trees that remind us this area has been preserved in its current state for over 100 years. Thanks in large part to the generosity of Ellen Browning Scripps, who purchased the densest Torrey pine groves from 1908 to 1912 and funded the construction of Guy and Margaret Fleming's house we saw earlier. There are views of the main road as it flattens off at the crest of Torrey Pines State Reserve. The coast and the freeway can be taken in just by turning from northwest to northeast. From here we can see North Torrey Pines Bridge, where we crossed over the railroad tracks. Here is the entrance to the West Overlook Trail, right where the main road begins to level off. From that trail, if we look east across the paved road, we see the high adobe wall of the Torrey Pines Lodge and Visitor Center. The Torrey Pines Lodge was also funded by Ellen Browning Scripps and was built in 1923 as a restaurant. It has been described as having stumpy tables, chintz curtains, lampshades made of Torrey pine needles, and a jukebox. This photo shows Model Ts climbing up toward the lodge. Some had to drive backwards up the steep grade in order for the gravity-fed fuel pump to supply gas to the engine. Here's another photo showing how it appeared to travelers back in the day, advertising its dining room and souvenirs. Nowadays, most people hike up to the top, but are too tired to stop by and see what's inside. What is inside? The Torrey Pines Lodge currently serves as the Visitor Center and Ranger Station. At the entrance is a picture chart of the most common flowering plants at the Torrey Pines State Reserve. Inside the lodge are displays of the wildlife you may see living in the area. The great blue heron, the bufflehead, and Pacific loon are some of the birds you'll see here. Skunks are present at the reserve, and so are a couple types of owls. Each mountain lion needs 100 square miles in which to hunt. Let's hope this is true, making any encounter less likely. Here is the American kestrel and the striped racer snake. Some of these birds seem alive and upset, as if we're invading their space. Just like 100 years ago, the lodge still sells souvenirs for guests to take home. There are picnic benches on the north-facing side and more displays regarding the geology. You can see the chimney molded into the side of the lodge. The park ranger is here, and the lodge has one of the best views of the lagoon and the bridge below. Further around the corner, we can see the main hiking trail. It's amazing to think this structure was built before most of us were born. The Torrey Pines Lodge and its surrounding reserve will remain here long after we're gone. The quiet serenity of the reserve, the beach, and the golf course wasn't always this quiet. During World War II, Camp Callan was opened in 1941 to defend the west coast of the United States in the event of attack from the Imperial Japanese Navy. The camp was half a mile wide and 3 miles long, occupying the coastal bluffs. It stretched from Torrey Pines State Reserve in the north to La Jolla Shores Drive next to UCSD in the south. Over the years, its focus changed from coastal artillery to anti-aircraft artillery, and finally amphibious assault training. The camp grew in size to almost 300 buildings and 1,300 acres. It had multiple mess halls and barracks, 6 PXs or post exchanges that served as general stores, 3 chapels, and a hospital with 1,000 beds. The main entrance to Camp Callan was just west of the underpass at Callan Road. The guard shack used to stand right where the lodge at Torrey Pines Golf Course is currently located. After the end of World War II in 1945, Camp Callan was deemed surplus and closed. Many of the buildings were broken down and repurposed as building material for veterans who decided to stay in San Diego. The land itself was reinvented as the location of the Torrey Pines Road Race from 1951 to 1956. Races were normally held at Del Mar, but a disagreement among the organizers forced them to look for a new venue. Although the buildings of Camp Callan were removed, the streets remained. Torrey Pines became the location of choice as Camp Callan streets conveniently lent themselves to designing a race course. The Torrey Pines Road Race was a 2.7-mile road course set in a clockwise direction surrounded by groves of trees. Several of the corners were at right angles to conform to the existing shape of Camp Callan's roads. A typical race weekend had practice and testing of the drivers on the first day, and about a half dozen races with different car classifications on the second day. The road races continued on until it was decided that a golf course would be constructed in its place. The final Torrey Pines Road Race was held in January of 1956, with the Torrey Pines Golf Course opening the following year. There's one last site to see, adjacent to the golf course. A hint is over the ocean. This shack has a lot of signage. Where are we? Even more important are the signs on the grass. The Torrey Pines Glider Port was established in 1928. Flights were paused when Camp Callan was in operation. Today, there are hang gliders that run off from the launch area. The 370-foot bluffs provide an updraft that helps with takeoff. The hang gliders are capable of faster speeds and can withstand stronger wind conditions. A pair of hang gliders have the center area all to themselves. The majority of pilots have paragliders and carry their gear out to the launch area for staging. Launching a paraglider doesn't look easy. But once the wing catches the wind, it looks very smooth and effortless. Tandem paragliders give anyone a chance to fly with an experienced instructor at the controls. For beginners, it is critical to have a tandem, especially for landings. This pilot is working at the controls. Others involve a quick tug and a precise landing. Some tandems need just a little extra guidance when coming back down. All the solo flyers are very good at landing. They can descend in stages and slowly touch down, or they can turn in quick and step down at the crest of the landing area. This paraglider seems to be on the path to land. Or maybe not. Some pilots make it look like second nature, as if stepping down from their car. We see the paraglider here drop her wing to permit a clear landing area for the second one approaching. Although it's possible the pilot aborted the landing or intends to make another approach. The Torrey Pines glider port has been around for nearly 100 years and supports radio-controlled airplanes, hang gliding, and paragliding. They have a flight school to train people to fly a paraglider solo and clinics to learn more advanced skills. This pilot is quite adept at navigating around the people on the landing area. This paraglider looks to be very comfortable performing acrobatic turns and using the lift off the cliffs to gain altitude rapidly. It's as if the pilot is riding on an invisible roller coaster track. In this case, the pilot is in control of where the track goes. One thing is for sure, they have the best view of the Pacific Ocean, Torrey Pines, and La Jolla in the distance. The glider port sells food and has a generous seating area to eat and enjoy the paragliders and hang gliders sailing up and down the coast. It is pleasant to see the paragliders sailing over Torrey Pines as we look out over the Scripps Pier and the La Jolla coast to the south. With its golf course, the State Reserve, and the glider port, Torrey Pines has a rich history and interesting stories about America's finest city. Visit Torrey Pines when you get a chance. If you enjoyed this video, you can help grow this channel. Please like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching San Diego Review.